Yeah, welcome everybody. This is the second iteration of the State of GNOME talk. First one was last year, after a period of how many years without Ubuntu Summit? I think it was 10 years without a summit or something like that. Unlike the State of the Shell talk, which we usually present at the GNOME conference, this one is not an acquired taste. So I think, and I hope, and I expect that you will be able to understand half of what we're talking about, maybe a little bit more. Let's see. My name is Georges. I'm here with Matthias and Marco. And we are going to talk about everything that happened between the last state of GNOME and this state of GNOME. We'll have some fun stuff. You have tears, you have joy, you have violence, you have everything. It's a full drama. So let's begin with the easy stuff. It's going to get progressively worse until you're looking at code. Don't worry. Start with the desktop. Everybody likes desktops. Who knows what... Actually, who doesn't know what GNOME is? Please raise your hand. Okay. I'm very sorry for you. You're missing out. Yeah, over the last year, we have the Workspace Indicators in GNOME 45. This was done live. You can go on YouTube and search for Workspace Indicators, and you're going to see someone suffering to get this done. And watching people suffer to get code written is really fun, apparently. Actually, this one has a fun story because we did user testing on this new Workspaces indicator during the GNOME conference, which happened here in Riga 3 months ago. So we are all touching the grounds that gave birth to this beautiful feature. You have that in GNOME 45, which apparently, as I've heard, it's available on Ubuntu at this point, so you can all enjoy it. I got a camera indicator, but it comes with a catch. You have to use Pipewire, because when you're accessing kernel stuff, we cannot be the man in the middle. But when you're using Pipewire, you know, if you attended the portal talk, that means that any application that is using the camera portal is going to get this beautiful indicator. It's going to protect your privacy, so nobody's going to access your camera without you knowing. It's the whole point of adding these things. So yeah, we have it now. We have background apps. So essentially, applications that are running on your system without a visible window. This landed in GNOME 44, I think, or 43, maybe 44, probably 44. I don't remember anything anymore. But yeah, apps can set a fancy state label so that they can tell you, like, I'm downloading your emails, or I'm managing your 2 or 3 Stream Deck devices that you have in there. So yeah, looks cool, works. We got some quick settings improvements. We got the keyboard light indicator, so you can now control your keyboard lighting, fading, using GNOME Shell directly from the quick settings menu. We got a shortcut. We have subtitles in the quick settings, so now you know you can read more than 5 characters of your Wi-Fi name, network name. Usually that's useful. Not always, but not often, but usually. Yeah, and the rest is the same mixed bag of quick settings that we had before. Power mode, if your computer supports different power states, through the power profiles, something manager, yeah, power profile daemon service, then it's going to show up here. GNOME Shell has a light mode now, although it also comes with a catch, because you can only enable it through dconf. Still some things to figure out on the desktop side of things, so we can like expose an actual way to enable this on GNOME settings. I have to double check if everything's working. These things take time, but it is there. It came from the legacy, you know, GNOME. What was it the name? GNOME Legacy session. Which one? Classic. That's it. GNOME Classic had something like this, and then it was moved into GNOME Shell directly. So I have a light mode now. You got accessibility, more accessibility stuff. To together with the redesign of the accessibility panel in the settings, we got a couple of new accessibility features, which I cannot remember from the tip of my head, but they exist, and you can all go there and prove me wrong if you want. We have a new keyboard layout viewer that looks and matches the style of GNOME. Got a daytime, more options down here, and apparently Linux is all about options. So we have to keep adding options, and then at some point we're going to have to start adding options to settings, so you can control how you control your options, and so it goes. Until then, we don't have options for options, we just have the options. So you can control the time format. This setting is exposed through the portal, so apps like GNOME Calendar can read your preferred time format and react to that. You can control which way. If the top bar of GNOME Shell shows weekday, date, seconds, week numbers is actually propagated to the entirety of the desktop. So if you have a calendar widget anywhere, like in GNOME Calendar or GNOME To Do or Endeavor or whatever other app, it's going to show week numbers as well. So the nice thing about having an integrated platform is that we can integrate it. We have a redesigned privacy panel. If you watched the Portals talk, you saw an example of that working in real time. And I'm so happy that it worked, because I was pretty sure it was not going to work and I was going to embarrass myself. But anyway, it works. You can control, like, there's a lockdown mode. You can control, like, if you want to reject any app from accessing your cameras, you can do that using the privacy panel. Same for microphone, although these things always come with catches. Apps have to use the newest technologies, so these things apply. Hopefully we're moving towards that future. Some honorable mentions. Christian Argot has been doing fantastic work on performance in GNOME. So we got faster GNOME search. We got Nautilus not crashing at every key press. When you're searching on the overview, it's always nice when applications don't crash. We got new cursors. It's not the most exciting thing that humankind has ever conceived, but it now has a slightly bigger tail, and that's that's a honorable mention. Some stuff happened on Mutter, so now the cursor movement happens, the cursor management happens in a separate thread than rendering. So in the eventual case that you're doing something so GPU intensive that GNOME Shell fails to render and blocks, you're still going to see your cursor movement, which doesn't help much because it cannot interact with anything. But it has that placebo effect of, you feel like it's not completely dead. And so, this is good. Feels slightly less worse. Got some improvements on fractional scaling on the GTK side. The Vulkan render enables that by default, but Vulkan is disabled by default, so doesn't matter. For OpenGL, that's still like an experimental feature. You have to turn it on if you want to test it. It's not, the details still have to be fleshed out as far as I know. I hope I'm not misrepresenting the project. Got gesture improvements, input leap support, which is like the ability to control your computer and change who's the owner of the keyboard events, as far as I understand, from like remotely. Is that it? No.
Controlling. It's for controlling another machine using your, basically allows you to use your machine to control another machine, and your own machine becomes the input provider for the others. So basically is having like multi-monitor with multi-machines, these kinds of things.
Yeah, these are the honorable mentions for the desktop, because we also are going to look into the apps. Let's look into the apps ecosystem, because we got quite a bunch of new apps in the circles, the GNOME Circle. Go check it out, all of them. They're all nice. I'm not going to go through each one of them individually. This one is probably the best for some reason. I don't know. Test it. Prove me wrong. Actually, Loop has been upgraded from a Circles app to a GNOME Core app. So now it's become the default image viewer for GNOME, or it will become in the next release. I'm not sure. Is it already the default? I think it already is the default. Yeah. We got improved core apps in the GNOME platform. go through some of them. Calendar looks stunning, amazing. It is the best calendar application that we will ever touch in your life.
It's the maintainer.
Don't have to go into the details.
That was just completely related to that.
Yes. We got a new sidebar. You're going to see more in the platform section, but a recurrent theme is how we upgraded our core apps to the latest designs and to match the latest patterns. So they have this unified look and feel. They behave more or less the same in constraint situations. Nautilus also now has a sidebar and a flatter look that comes for free when using the latest libweta widgetry and whatnot. There are people looking into making Nautilus the file picker of GNOME, the GNOME portal implementation of the file picker. So if that happens, and hopefully that happens, we're gonna get thumbnail generation in the file picker, which is decent, I think. GNOME Weather has a new view for the temperature, has a new chart. Looks pretty. GNOME Maps has a new experimental vector-based map rendering engine. I think it doesn't have any particular style, but I think the maintainers were looking into rendering the maps with a GNOME style, because they're SVGs and you can CSS style with SVGs somehow. Other than porting to GTK4 and looking stunning like other apps. And now let's go to the platform that Matthias.
Yes, so George has mentioned many new and improved applications, but you don't have to necessarily write a new application. There's also some improvements in our platform that all applications benefit from for free. The first one to mention here is everybody's favorite dialog, the file chooser. We finally managed to port it to our new list widget infrastructure in GTK, the list view. And as part of that, it was also easy to add a grid view, because that uses the same data structures underneath. So we managed to do that, and now we finally have a grid view in the file chooser after many, many years of people asking for that. You click the little hamburger button on the top right corner to switch between the list view and the grid view. And overall, that makes it, I would say, a lot more similar to Nautilus in look and feel. But as George has mentioned, there might even be some effort underway to actually literally use Nautilus for picking files via the portal. So that might be happening in the next release or two. And as I said, this work was enabled by porting the file chooser to our new list and grid widget machinery that was debuted in GTK4. And that's benefiting applications all throughout the desktop in many ways. I think later on, maybe Marco will show us a screenshot of SysProf, which is a profiling application that Christian Hergert pretty much rewrote this last cycle, and he really embraced list views and list models as the central data structure for that. And that has really helped make a difference there. And this is just a screenshot of a little demo application that we have in GTK, which shows a grid view containing all the 16 million colors. Are there any more than that? I don't think so, but you can scroll it as you can look at the little frames per second overlay on the right corner. You can see that it can actually work at 60 frames per second, regardless how big the data set is. But there's more than just GTK machinery. Most of our applications nowadays use libadwaita for their UX and their main widgetry. And the new thing that libadwaita added, I think in GNOME 45, is this tab overview. So applications that have a tabbed user interface, like our web browser or the terminal application, can very easily add this kind of overview mode, so you can all see all your tabs in this view. And it also has search. If you ever lose your tabs, you might appreciate that. Another new widget that has appeared in libadwaita is a new generation of the adaptive widgetry. Like libadwaita's, one of the important aspects of libadwaita is that it's meant to be adaptive. So if you if you run your applications on a very small form factor like a phone, the UI is meant to adapt. And there's a new generation of view widgets that support that. This not sure what it's called actually. It's a tab sidebar split view. Okay, so this thing, if you run it on your desktop, it'll like show the sidebar next to the content. But if you move to a very small screen, then the sidebar will be overlaid on top of the content, so it adapts automatically. And I think that uses the new breakpoint machinery, which libadwaita has also introduced this cycle. And the last thing I want to mention is that in GNOME 45, Matter, the compositor, gained the ability to work with YUV data. This screenshot shows how it looks if you don't understand YUV data. Then it comes out in interesting wrong colors. And in the next cycle in GNOME 46, we also hope to have better support for YUV data and DMA buffers in GTK itself, including passing those buffers directly to the compositor to get a zero copy display of, say, your movie streams or webcam streams. With that, I think I pass it to Marco.
And we go lower and lower. So we DX here doesn't mean as Canonical might remember desktop experience, but it means developer experience. So yeah, we go into some, again, from top level to lower. So I want to show a nice application that can be used if you want to get started into the GNOME technologies and actually get into doing actual applications in a nice, easy, and guided way into a actual full down application. And basically, this is a tool which allows you to, to craft and start drafting up apps by using a kind of new language. It's introduced into the GNOME community, which is called Blueprint. It's mimicking, as you can see, a bit QML for the ones who knew it, but that's going to be compiled into what under the GTK uses, so basically XML build files. But that happens basically automatically, so you can write this using Blueprint and then go back to XML and back and forth. You can convert one to other, but this is actually way more readable. And of course, you can then integrate all this UI and widget tree definitions with logic using JS or, well, all the languages that GNOME supports, but from Workbench, actually working, I think, in JS and Vala. And of course, you have a live preview on the right side, so you can, craft your application and basically get everything done. Sadly, we don't have yet a snap for this, for the Ubuntu people. I start some work on that, but it's meant to be a very flat package things. So it might take a while to get it working, but I mean, it will be nice because I think it's a very nice way to actually create application, draft them, and understand how the GNOME technology work. Tons of examples, so you can see in the library. I mean, you don't see it, but I mean, try that, and it's really nice. Then, yeah, going a bit lower, yeah. Something new at API level that has been done at GTK is the new support for new dialogs, which has been now redesigned in order to use the sync API, the GIO and glib in general supports, which basically will allow you to, to handle any, for example, dialog request as an async operation. So basically, in this case, this is using JS bindings. So you just open a file dialog until the dialog is not closed or refused. You get a result, which might be an error in case of a refusal of the user. That's a nice way to handle, for example, with new languages. It might be more verbose in C, of course, which implies callbacks and stuff. But when you use this through Python or JavaScript or Go or whatever you want to use for GTK, is going to be nice. Yeah, another work on GTK has been, I don't know, people who has been around using GTK for ages know that Cairo was the first class citizen, especially in GTK3 feature was actually that. Like, let's expose Cairo everywhere. GTK4 actually tried to hide it as most as possible, and so but developers needed to actually draw things into 2D models as well, because not everybody wants to use JL for everything. At least yeah. So yeah, there was finally an API to define paths to draw in 2D, as you can do with Cairo, basically mimicking the same API at GTK level, but under the hood, of course, depending on the GTK backend you're using, it's gonna be rendered in different ways. So JL, Cairo again, but or rather, Vulkan, whatever you use. Sysprof, yeah, Matthias already introduced that. Then basically, Sysprof is the profiler for GNOME. You can also use for non-GNOME applications if you want, but the nice thing is this has a really nice integration with the GNOME technologies. For example, if you're using JS application, this also go through the profiling the JS performance in the JS engine. And so it shows you information only about memory, CPU usage, and most expensive codes or whatever you want. And you can monitor both the process, you can monitor all the desktop, so to see which one is more impacting on the others. And then, of course, it presents you now this UI. You can actually select, for example, some frames of this part, and then see the details about what's causing, for example, these spikes. And that's how, for example, not only the list view improvements has been done, but also the improved search has been done, because just running this thing on the GNOME OS desktop, Christian figured out that searching was so expensive in any single thing. We have lots of stuff on search to still improve it, but yeah, at least it's allowed to remove the most obvious bottlenecks. Then yeah. As we said, basically, I mentioned that languages before for using the GTK, the G API in general. The beauty of the whole of G object introspection is that in whatever in GNOME, in the GNOME ecosystem in general, when you write a library, generally in C, you can generate out of it bindings for basically potentially any language. So we, out of the function definitions, we define like an XML file eventually, which defines each function, what does it do, and how you have to handle both the call results, the call arguments, and the results, and then you can reuse to implement any language with it. So as I mentioned, there are bindings for many things. The more GNOME initially started to use, I think, Python as a first language, which we are using this thing. Then Vala also started using it, and then new languages are coming, and then JS became the first class citizen, mostly because the shell is UI is done to it with it, and also has some ability to attract people, because JS is very spread language. But also the new hyped language is Rust. So Rust is actually becoming very good quality bindings. We have basically three main crates, which are GTK RS core, which is at the end including both G object, GIO, and glib APIs that are needed, and plus the minute. No, come on. Well, then basically what we have. Yeah, that's it works great. It's the best. If you want to do a UI in GTK in Rust, basically it's the way to go. JS, as I mentioned, that we have JS bindings, and we did lots of work on that. There were memory issues, and so fixed. Great, works. And the shell also, JS, that you can integrate with the shell with extensions. we broke them all this cycle, but for a good reason, because now we're using ESM modules, so and async loading of them, so lots of improvements. I mean, we need sometimes some fresh air. This was the time we did it. Regarding
fresh air, I need a clock on both monitors.
yeah. You might have it one day. As yeah.
Next time I'm up till 3 in the morning because I can't see the time when I'm playing a game that went full screen, I'll call you and let you know.
Sure.
You'll still be awake, actually.
As in.
You do that, call me because I will complain tomorrow together.
So yeah, in Mantic we got GNOME 45, mostly thanks I have to say to Jeremy. We did an amazing job with this, and I'm done. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we have Yaru, we have styling. I think we have more time. Oh, so yeah, I don't know if there's not time for questions. Maybe yeah. It's long.